2,000 years ago, a Roman philosopher named Seneca wrote a letter. It was called On the Shortness of Life, and in it, he diagnosed this condition. This feeling of being busy but having no time. His argument was that we aren't given a short life. We make it short, we waste it. This video is a guide from that wisdom. A practical plan to stop wasting your most precious resource, the one that's non-renewable. We'll explore some ancient principles, Memento Mori, the Dichotomy of Control, intentional living, and how they can reclaim your days from this epidemic of busyness. By the end, you'll have a new framework to see time not as something you lack, but as the only true possession you can ever own. We'll look at why we protect our money with such care, but we squander our hours without a thought. And what it truly means to start living before your time runs out. What does a life well spent look like to you? How much of your day is spent on things that truly matter to you? That's the first filter, the brutal one. Seneca asks us to apply it. He saw that people are always occupied, their schedules are packed, their calendars are full. But that occupation, that busyness, is often a mirage. It gives you the illusion of a full life, and it creates this deep poverty of time. You feel the weight of all the activity, but you don't feel the substance of any progress. That's the core of it. We mistake motion for meaning. We confuse being busy with being productive, and we misallocate our only non-renewable resource. Seneca wrote about this with a kind of compassionate. This isn't about judging every minute. It's about developing awareness, because you cannot reclaim what you do not see you've lost. This simple audit begins to dissolve the illusion. It starts to show you the gap between a life that looks full from the outside and one that actually feels full from the inside. The Stoics had a practice called Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. It sounds grim at first, a dark thought, but they didn't see it that way. They saw it as a clarifying lens, a tool to dissolve fear, not create it. It's not about dwelling on an ending. It's about energizing your beginning right now, because when you remember your time is finite, that this day isn't guaranteed, something shifts. The trivial loses its grip, the essential rises up. Imagine holding an hourglass. The sand is always flowing. You wouldn't just stare at it. You'd decide with care where to pour your attention while the sand still falls. That's the spirit of it. It turns the abstract idea of limited time into something tangible, a daily reality. It creates a kind of positive urgency, not the frantic rush of a last-minute deadline, but a calm, determined focus on what merits your limited sand. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote this to himself: "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He was installing a mental filter, a constant question: is what I'm about to do worthy of this potential final moment? If the answer is no, the path becomes clear. Historically, some Stoics kept a physical reminder, a small skull on the writing desk. It was a focal point, a reset button for the mind. Today, that symbol might feel intense, but the principle translates. It could be a note on your mirror: is this important? It could be setting your calendar to show a hypothetical end date, not to scare you, but to make the weeks feel visually finite. The power is in the regular, gentle reminder. Not a shock, but a quiet whisper: this is not forever, use this well. So apply that filter now. Ask yourself, if I knew for certain this was my last year, what would I immediately stop doing? What habits, what obligations, what patterns of worry would just fall away? And then, the more vital question, what would I start? What conversations would I finally have? What project would I begin or finish? Who would I spend my time with, and how? This exercise isn't about drafting a final bucket list. It's a diagnostic tool. It reveals the gap between your current daily actions and your deepest values. The things you would stop are likely the time wasters. The things you would start are likely the essentials you've been postponing. Memento Mori closes that gap. It brings that future urgency into the present moment where you can actually do something. It transforms the reminder of an ending into the energy for a more meaningful beginning. We blame time on outside things, our job, our family. The world makes demands and our schedule feels like just a reaction. That feeling of powerlessness is where time goes. But Epictetus, a Stoic, had a tool for this. He called it the Dichotomy of Control. Some things are in our power, he said, and some are not. In our power are our own opinions, what we pursue, what we want, what we avoid. Everything else, other people's actions, world events, that's not in our power. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about putting your energy exactly where it can do something. With your time, you can't control every demand. You can't control a last-minute request from your boss, or a family emergency, or a traffic jam that adds 20 minutes. What you can control is your response, your priorities, what you agree to give your attention to. That's the shift, from seeing your time as something that happens to you, to seeing it as something you steer. Think of sailing. You can't control the wind or the waves. Those are external. But you can control the set of your sails, your grip on the rudder. You decide how to navigate the conditions you get. A practical example, you have a stressful commute. The traffic is unpredictable, frustrating, outside your control. You can spend that hour agitated, white-knuckling the wheel, cursing every red light. That's giving your time and your peace to something you can't change. Or you find the element you control. You can choose to leave 15 minutes earlier, changing the conditions. You can choose to use that time for an audiobook you love, or a language lesson, or just quiet reflection. The traffic is the same, but the experience of that hour, its value to your life, is completely different because of your choice. This applies to the whole week. You might not control your core work hours, but you control the margins, the 30 minutes before bed, the lunch break. The early morning, do you fill them with reactive scrolling or with something deliberate that matches a personal goal? You can't control a colleague who schedules long, meandering meetings. But you can control your preparation. You can set a clear agenda at the start. You can politely steer back to the point, or you can decide for the next meeting you'll only attend the part that needs you. The key is to audit your frustrations. Take a moment, list your top 3 time stresses right now, maybe a chaotic morning, or the feeling that your evenings vanish into chores and screens. Or the constant ping of notifications. For each one, identify the single, smallest thing within your control. For the chaotic morning, it might be laying out your clothes the night before. For the vanished evening, it might be scheduling one 30-minute block for something you enjoy before anything else. For the notifications, it's the power to turn them off. That's the practice. It moves you from passenger to pilot. You start to see that while you can't command the clock, you have absolute authority over where you place your attention inside it. You could anticipate the things that derail your plans, the interruption, the afternoon fatigue, the tech failure. The Stoics had a practice for this. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of troubles. It wasn't pessimism, it was preparedness, a mental rehearsal of obstacles, not to fear them but to disarm them. To build a plan before the storm arrives, so you don't waste time and energy reacting in panic when it does. Seneca used this. He knew the political climate was unstable. So he mentally rehearsed exile. He imagined losing his wealth, his status, his home. By facing it in his mind, he stripped the future event of its power to shock him. When he was later exiled, his writings show not despair, but a kind of weary acceptance. He had already walked that path in his thoughts. His energy was preserved for adapting, not for crumbling. We can apply this to protecting our time. Your focus is a finite resource. It gets attacked daily by predictable thieves. The practice is to name them in advance and decide on your defense before the battle begins. Take a common one. You have a block of time for deep work. The premeditation asks what usually happens. Maybe a colleague pops by for a chat that isn't quick. Maybe you get a compelling notification. Maybe your mind wanders to a looming chore. Your premeditated plan could be a simple protocol. You put on headphones as a visual signal. You close every tab and app not essential to the task. You have a notepad to jot down the intrusive thought to be dealt with later. You've rehearsed your response to an interruption. Thank you, I'm in the middle of something. Can we connect at 3? By rehearsing this, you've built a mental script. The obstacle arrives, and instead of it hijacking 20 minutes of your focus, you execute your prepared move in 20 seconds and guard your time. Or consider social energy. You have an evening gathering. You want to go, but you know from experience that after 2 hours you're drained and the next morning suffers. Premeditatio, before you go, you decide your exit time. You rehearse your departure line. It was so wonderful to see everyone. I have to head out, but let's plan another time. When 9 o'clock arrives, you're not debating in your tired mind. You're simply enacting the plan you made when you were clear-headed. You reclaim your evening and protect your tomorrow. The power is in the shift from being a victim of circumstance to being the architect of your response. So identify one recurring thief of your time. Is it the chaotic first hour of your day? Is it the lure of your phone when you're trying to read? Is it the tendency to say yes to request you later resent? Now, mentally walk through the next occurrence. See it coming and decide right now what your one composed, prepared action will be. That rehearsal in your mind builds the neural pathway for a better choice in the moment. It's how you stop losing time to the same predictable disruptions and start owning your days. Regret over wasted time is a heavy weight. It pulls you back into a past you can't change. And it steals energy from the present you still have. The Stoics offered something different, a radical alternative, not just acceptance but a full embrace. Amor Fati, the love of your fate. It means looking at your whole past, the good years and the bad ones, the productive stretches and the ones that seem wasted. And saying, I would have it no other way because it brought me here to this understanding, to this moment where I can choose something new. This isn't about celebrating poor choices. It's about taking the power away from regret so it can't paralyze you anymore. Think of it as alchemy. You take the lead weight of regret and turn it into the gold of wisdom. That time you procrastinated for months on a big project, you can replay that with shame, or you can see it as crucial data. It showed you that you work better under a different structure. Or maybe that the project didn't actually align with your values, and that's why you resisted it. That year you feel you drifted without direction. It wasn't a blank space. It was a necessary period of fermentation, where things were processing under the surface, and it led you to the clarity you have now. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, constantly reminded himself to accept the past. He wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In your life, the impediment was that lost time, but it can advance your action now. By teaching you what doesn't work for you, by making you so aware of time's value that you become fiercely protective of it from now on. So here's a practical step. Look back at a chapter you consider wasted. Maybe it was a job that drained you, or a relationship that consumed your focus, or just a long stretch of idle scrolling. Instead of calling it a mistake, thank it for the lesson. That job taught you what environments you can't thrive in, and that's invaluable knowledge. That relationship highlighted your boundaries. The idle scrolling showed you how your brain seeks easy dopamine, and now you can build better gates for your attention. What's one past time wasting habit you can thank? Maybe it showed you that you're easily distracted by visual noise, so now you create a clean workspace. Maybe it revealed a deep need for rest you were ignoring, so now you schedule downtime with intention instead of collapsing into it. When you reframe the past as your teacher and not your judge, you complete the lesson. You graduate from it, and all that mental energy you were spending on regret, on wishing you could go back, gets freed up. It flows back into your system. Available for the present, you stop fighting a ghost and you start building with the materials you actually have. The wisdom from what did not work becomes the foundation for what will. The Romans had this nightly ritual, a way to look at your time differently. They called it the evening review. Seneca wrote about it. He would end his day in quiet reflection, asking himself questions not about what he'd accomplished in the world's view, but about how he spent his life's currency. Marcus Aurelius did the same thing. His private journal, the Meditations, it's really just a series of these nightly reviews, a kind of gentle accounting, not to punish himself for mistakes, but to learn, to adjust, to align, so that tomorrow's hours might be spent with a little more wisdom than today's. This practice, it's a tool for reclaiming your time. Because awareness is the first step to change, and a daily review builds that awareness quietly, consistently. Seneca described his process in a letter. He wrote the whole day should be turned over to oneself. He would examine his actions, his thoughts, his conversations. He asked, what bad habit have you cured today? What fault have you resisted? In what way are you better? His focus was on character, but the mechanism works for time too. We can adapt those questions. Where today did I follow my plan for my time? Where was I distracted? What did I give my attention to that was worthy of it? And what did I allow to steal it away? There's a simple 3-question template you can use. Takes about 3 minutes before you turn off the light. First, what did I actually spend my time on today? Not what you planned, the reality. Mentally walk through the key blocks, the morning, the workday, the evening. Just observe without judgment. Second, did my actions with that time align with my deeper values? This connects the audit to meaning. Did the hours feel full of substance or just full of motion? Did I protect time for what I claim is important, or did I let lesser things crowd it out? Third, and this is the most important one, how can I improve just one thing tomorrow, not 10 things? 1. Maybe it's guarding the first hour of the day from your phone. Maybe it's preparing for a known distraction. Maybe it's scheduling that one important task you keep postponing. The power is in the repetition. One night's review gives you a snapshot. A week of reviews reveals a pattern. You start to see the recurring thieves, the habitual time wasters you didn't notice in the moment. You also see the bright spots, the activities that left you feeling energized, fulfilled. You get data on your own life, and with that data you can make tiny, intelligent adjustments. Not sweeping overhauls that fail by Wednesday, but 1% shifts. The Stoics believed in progress, not perfection. The evening review is the engine of that progress for your days. So tonight you could try it before you sleep in the quiet dark. Ask yourself those 3 questions. What did I spend my time on? Did it align with my values? What is one small way I can improve tomorrow? Write down a sentence or 2 if you want. This act, it does something. It closes the book on today with intention. It turns yesterday's experience into tomorrow's wisdom, and it slowly, steadily trains you to live your hours with your eyes open. We chase more money, more status, more things. And then we wonder where the time went. It's a modern paradox. The pursuit of abundance creates a poverty of hours. Seneca saw this 2,000 years ago. He watched the wealthy of Rome exhaust themselves, accumulating vast estates, endless servants, mountains of luxury, and he saw a strange truth. The more they acquired, the more they needed to manage it. The more they had to protect. Their time became a servant to their possessions, not the other way around. He wrote that life is long enough if you know how to use it. That we are not poor in years, we are wasteful of them. A major source of that waste is not knowing what enough looks like. The Stoic answer is a concept of sufficiency. Contentment, not as passive resignation but as active clarity. It's the deliberate act of defining your own finish line, so you can stop running the endless race. and start inhabiting the life you already have. This works because it's a filter for your time. Every goal you pursue, every object you acquire, every status symbol you chase has a hidden time cost. It requires maintenance, attention, further striving. A lavish lifestyle isn't just about the money. It's about the hours spent earning that money, managing the properties, curating the image, dealing with the complexity. A simpler life, aligned with what you actually need and value, automatically declutters your schedule. It frees up cognitive space and calendar space. Seneca was brutal. He said it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Your poverty of time is often linked to that craving. To the feeling that you haven't arrived yet, that you need the next title, the next car, the next milestone before you can finally relax, but that day never comes. The goalposts keep moving, the pursuit becomes perpetual, and your time is the fuel burned in that endless engine. So the practical step is to define your own enough. In one specific area, start with something tangible, not your entire life philosophy, just one category, income, for example. What is your enough number? Not the fantasy number, but the number that covers your needs, provides reasonable comfort and security, allows for meaningful experiences. Once you define that, you can make different choices. You might choose a role with less stress but slightly less pay, reclaiming 20 hours a week of mental energy. You might stop chasing a promotion that requires constant travel and gain back your weekends. The goal isn't to earn less necessarily. It's to earn with purpose and to see the time trade off clearly for every dollar beyond your defined enough. Apply it to possessions. What is enough space for you? A larger home means more time cleaning, maintaining, repairing, furnishing. It ties you to a larger mortgage, requiring more work hours to pay for it. A smaller, simpler space that meets your needs can liberate dozens of hours each month. Hours you can spend on learning, on relationships, on quiet reflection. Seneca observed that many of the things we pursue are not just unnecessary, they are burdens we strap to our own backs, and then we complain we cannot run. So the reflective prompt is this: pick one area of your life where you feel the pressure of more. It could be income, professional status, gadgets, clothes, social commitments. Now write down a simple, clear definition of what enough would look like for you in that area. Be specific. Then ask the revealing question: if I truly accepted this as enough, what would I stop doing? What meetings, what side hustles, what maintenance tasks, what worries would simply fall off my schedule? The time you reclaim isn't empty space. It's the raw material of a life you choose rather than one you chase. Defining enough is how you move from being a consumer of time to being its sovereign. Reclaiming time means doing less on purpose. That's strategic neglect. Leaving out what isn't essential to protect what is. The Stoics understood this. Their whole philosophy was about seeing what matters and what's just noise. To get your hours back, you have to edit your life, cut what doesn't fit the story. Marcus Aurelius had a method for this. In his private notes, he kept telling himself to drop the unnecessary. He'd write, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" And he meant actions, thoughts, impressions, all of it. His aim was to strip away everything that wasn't about virtue or reason. To leave only the core. For us, that's a filter for time and energy. Every demand on your schedule, every notification, every should is an impression. Your power is in the gap between that impression and what you do. In that gap, you ask his question: is this necessary for my well-being, my responsibilities, what I truly value? If it's not, you neglect it, you let it go. That isn't laziness, it's conserving your most limited resource. Your attention is like a beam of light. You can spread it wide, lighting up a broad, shallow area. Or you can focus it like a laser on one point, creating heat, energy, change. Strategic neglect is choosing that point, letting the edges stay dark. Think about the information you take in, the news, the updates, the opinions. So much of it is meant to trigger you. anxiety, outrage, curiosity, but how much is actually necessary? Necessary to live well, to make good decisions in your own life. Consciously neglecting the hourly churn of news can give you back more than minutes. It gives back the hours of mental noise that follow. You're not uninformed, you're selectively informed, choosing depth over the noise. Social obligations are another place for this. Not every invitation is a command. Not every gathering is worth the time it costs. The Stoic would ask, does this build my character, my real connections? If it's just an empty ritual, a social duty, you can neglect it. Saying no to a drink you don't want is saying yes to an evening reading, or a walk, or time with family. It's a trade. You're choosing the more valuable currency, even in your work. The low-impact tasks, the email chains, the small admin duties that feel urgent but aren't important. Practice neglect there, batch them, delegate them, or decide they don't deserve to break your focus on the work that matters. Let the small things wait so the big things can move. So here's something to consider this week. List 3 things you'll choose to neglect. Be specific. Maybe checking social media before noon. Maybe that weekly meeting you don't need to be in. Maybe worrying about a future problem you can't change. And for each thing you neglect, name what you're making space for. More focused work, a calmer morning. A deeper conversation. When you neglect the trivial on purpose, you aren't missing out. You're making a deposit into a life that feels like your own. Seneca observed that we guard our property with great care, but we're reckless with our time. He called this the great inversion. We lock our doors, we set alarms. We watch our bank accounts down to the penny, yet we leave the gates of our days wide open. We let hours slip out unnoticed as if they were endless. That's the core of the metaphor. Time is your true estate. It's the only possession you're ever guaranteed to own, and the only one you can never get back. Money can be lost and earned again. A house can be rebuilt. Reputations can be repaired. But a day that passes is gone for good. This reframes everything. Time management isn't about productivity tricks. It's the highest form of self-governance. It's stewardship of your one non-renewable resource. In his letter, he writes that people are frugal with their personal property. But when it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing it's right to be stingy with. He's pointing to a blind spot. We understand scarcity with physical objects. But we struggle to feel the scarcity of our own lifespan. It feels abstract, distant, so we treat our hours as a public commodity. We give them away to any demand. Instead of treating them as a private kingdom to be ruled with intention, to make this tangible, think of a simple comparison. Budgeting. Most people get a financial budget. You track income, you categorize expenses, you plan for savings, you cut frivolous spending to reach a goal. It's a system of conscious choice over your money. Now apply that same rigor to your time, a time budget. You have an income of 24 hours each day. You have fixed expenses, sleep, work, necessary chores. And you have discretionary spending. Where does that time go? Is it invested in growth, in relationships, in restoration? Or is it frittered away on mindless consumption, on worry, on things that leave no trace? Tracking your time for just one day can be as revealing as a bank statement. You see the leaks, the 30 minutes lost in a distracted scroll, the hour spent on a task that didn't need to be perfect, the evening that just evaporated. This isn't about accounting for every minute in guilt. It's about bringing the same awareness to your time that you naturally bring to your money. Because you would never throw $50 out the window every day, but you might throw away 50 irreplaceable minutes without a thought. To feel the weight of this estate, try a sobering calculation. Take the average lifespan, say 80 years, subtract your current age, that's the years you likely have left. Multiply those years by 365 days, then by 24 hours. The number is finite. It's a large number, but it is a number. You can write it down. Seeing that total, that sum of hours remaining, changes the feeling. It moves time from an abstract concept to a quantified account, and every choice becomes a withdrawal from that account. The question shifts. It's no longer, do I have time for this? It becomes, is this worthy of my life's currency? This calculation isn't meant to frighten. It's meant to clarify. It turns the stewardship of your time from a nice idea into a mathematical reality. You are the caretaker of this numbered estate. How will you tend to it so that when the final tally is made, you can look back not on a ledger of waste, but on a legacy of moments well spent? The past is gone. The future isn't here. The present is the only place you can actually do anything. That's where Stoic philosophy lands. It's not just a comforting idea. It's an operational truth. Anxiety and regret are the two thieves of your time. They pull your mind out of the only place where action is possible. Worry is like a mortgage on a future that may never arrive. Regret is a tax you keep paying on a debt you can't settle. Both of them steal the currency of now. Marcus Aurelius wrote this command to himself repeatedly. Confine yourself to the present. He wasn't saying ignore the past or don't plan. He was saying plant your feet. Your power, your agency, your ability to use your time, it exists only in this single point. The now, think of it like you're a painter. The past is a dried canvas. The paint is set. You can study it, learn from the composition, but you can't change a single brush stroke. The future is a blank canvas still wrapped. You can sketch ideas, you can prepare your colors, but you can't paint on it yet. The present is the only canvas on your easel. The brush is in your hand, the paint is wet. This is where the art happens. Worrying about the blank canvas or regretting the dried one is just staring at the walls while the paint on your actual work dries unused. There's a common scene that shows this theft. A person stands on a balcony at sunset. The sky is orange and purple, but they don't see it. Their eyes are on their phone, scrolling through emails, anxious about a meeting tomorrow. The future meeting isn't here. It's a story in their mind. The sunset is here. It's real, it's happening, and it's free, but they are paying for it with their presence. They trade the actual gift of now for a phantom of later. That's how time gets lost, not in big, dramatic wastes, but in a million tiny absences. We're physically in one place, mentally in another. And the moment passes unpaid attention to. The Stoic remedy is a deliberate return, a reclamation of your senses. Your attention is the key that unlocks the value of any moment. So here's a direct instruction, a small experiment. For the next 5 minutes, do one simple thing with your full attention. If you're drinking tea, just drink the tea. Feel the warmth of the cup, notice the aroma, taste the flavor. If you're sitting by a window, feel the sun on your skin. Watch the way light falls across the floor. Listen to the distant sounds without labeling them. Don't let your mind run to what's next. Gently guide it back. This isn't a meditation exercise, though it's similar. It's a practical rehearsal for owning your time. It trains you to inhabit your hours instead of just passing through them. When you practice this, you start to see the texture of your life again. The meeting tomorrow will still happen, but you'll approach it from a place of calm focus, not from a place of scattered anxiety built on stolen sunset moments. You reclaim your time by reclaiming your attention. You put it where your life actually is, right here, right now. This is the only point from which you can build anything. Our attention gets fragmented, and where attention goes, our time goes, our life follows. You can have every schedule and plan, but if your mind is pulled 10 ways, your time will be 2. The Stoics had a name for the answer, Prosoche. It means mindful attention, a continuous awareness of your own thoughts, your impulses, what you're doing. It's that quiet observer, the one that notices you're about to pick up your phone again, the one that hears the complaint about a boring task, the one that sees the urge to switch before you're finished. This isn't about criticizing yourself, it's about gathering the pieces of your focus. A scattered mind makes a scattered life, and scattered time just seems to evaporate. Epictetus taught this as the first defense. Guard your impressions, he said. That first raw reaction to something. Someone criticizes you, and the impression is hurt or anger. The practice is to notice that impression, to create a small gap between the feeling and your response. And in that gap, you ask, is this true? Is it helpful? That same skill applies to your time. An email notification pops up. The impression is urgency or curiosity. Prosoche is noticing that pull, and in the gap asking, does this deserve my attention right now? Or am I being pulled away from my priority? A difficult task feels daunting. The impression is avoidance, the want for an easier distraction. Prosoche sees that urge. And in the gap, you can choose to stay just for 5 more minutes. That vigilant attention is the foundation. Without it, your time isn't yours. It belongs to whatever shouts the loudest. Think of 2 ways a workday can go. In one, you start with a clear priority, but then a chat message pings, you answer it, then you check email. One message leads you to open a browser tab. You see a headline, you click. 10 minutes later, you've forgotten the original task. You switch to something else that feels urgent. The day becomes a blur of switching. You're busy, exhausted, but the important project hasn't moved. The second day, you begin with the same priority. You practice Prosoche. You notice the ping, but you let it wait. You feel the itch to check email, but you acknowledge it and return to your work. You schedule specific times for messages. Your attention stays on one channel. The same hours pass, but you finish with a sense of completion. Your time felt solid, not like sand running through your fingers. The difference isn't just discipline. It's the quality of your attention. One is fractured and lost, the other is gathered and directed. To build this, start with a simple observation. In the next hour, whatever you're doing, just notice. How many times does your mind wander from the single task? You're reading a report and a thought about dinner pops in. You're listening to someone and you start planning your reply. Don't scold yourself, just note it. Oh, there's a wander, and gently guide it back. This isn't about perfect focus. It's about building the muscle of awareness. Every time you notice a wander and return, you're exercising Prosoche. You're reclaiming the steering wheel of your mind. And by reclaiming your mind's direction, you reclaim the substance of your time. The hours stop blurring together. They gain texture and intention. Because a life lived with attention is a life that's truly lived, not just passed through. We chase things we think will make us happy, the perfect job, a bigger house, the admiration of other people. We spend our days on that pursuit, but there's a quiet truth in Stoicism. The discipline of desire is a time management tool. It's about training what you want, so you stop exhausting yourself on roads that go nowhere. Epictetus said the chief task is this: to identify and separate matters, to see clearly what is not under my control and what is, where I have choice and where I don't. Then, he said, we must direct our desire only toward what is in our power. Our actions, our judgments, our character, everything else we accept as it comes. This isn't about giving up on goals. It's shifting your primary desire from the unpredictable outcome to the effort you can control. When you do that, you reclaim time, mental energy, because you're no longer burning hours on anxiety over results you can't command, or on envy, or on the hustle for a validation that never feels like enough. Take the desire for a promotion. That outcome depends on a manager's decision. Budgets, office politics, it's largely external. If your happiness is tied to that title, you'll waste time. Worrying about perceptions, networking for advantage, feeling bitter if it doesn't happen. The Stoic redirection is to desire excellence in your work instead. To focus on being diligent, reliable, skilled, that is within your power. You can control showing up prepared. You can control the quality of your contribution. You can control your attitude. That shift changes everything. Your time is spent on meaningful action, not fruitless speculation. If the promotion comes, it's a welcome addition. If it doesn't, your core pursuit, being excellent, remains intact. You haven't wasted your days on a chase that left you empty. Apply this to social media. The desire is for likes, followers, a certain image. That's an external metric controlled by algorithms and other people's whims. Chasing it can consume hours. Crafting posts, checking notifications, comparing your feed to others. The Stoic redirection is to desire genuine connection or creative expression. To share an idea that matters to you, to learn something. That internal focus reclaims the time. You use the platform as a tool, not as a source of your worth. Your attention is no longer held hostage by the unpredictable reward of external validation. So here's a prompt. Identify one external outcome you're desiring. A specific amount of money, a relationship milestone, a professional accolade. Now reframe it. Ask yourself, what is the internal action within my control that aligns with this? The virtue, the quality of effort. If you desire more financial security, the internal action might be consistent saving, diligent skill building, mindful spending. If you desire a better relationship, the internal action might be practicing patience, offering kindness, communicating clearly. By shifting your primary desire to the action, you put your time where it has real power. You stop waiting for the world to give you something, and you start building the character that can receive it with grace or thrive without it. This discipline turns desire from a master that drives you to exhaustion into a compass. It guides you toward a life where your time is spent on what you can actually build. To gain more time, sometimes you have to accept a little discomfort. That sounds backwards. We think comfort saves time, a comfortable chair, a warm bed, but comfort has a hidden cost. It makes us soft, vulnerable to the small things that derail a day. The discomfort of starting a hard project, the chill of getting out of bed early, the boredom of putting the phone away, these feel like walls, and we waste time avoiding them. Procrastination, distraction, it's a time tax, paying to escape a tiny discomfort. The Stoic answer is voluntary hardship. It's training for the mind. By choosing a small, manageable discomfort, you build a resilience. The unavoidable discomforts of life lose their power. They stop stealing your time. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus talked about this. He said athletes train their bodies for competition. We have to train our souls for life. Part of that training is practicing to do without. To become familiar with hardship by choice, so when hardship comes uninvited, it finds us prepared, not panicked. Seneca wrote about it too. He would practice periods of simple living. Plain food, rough clothing, a hard bed. His goal wasn't punishment. It was to prove to his own mind that he could be content with less, that his peace didn't depend on perfect conditions. When your peace isn't hostage to comfort, you gain a freedom. You stop wasting time arranging the perfect circumstances to begin. You can begin anywhere. Think of it like a muscle. Your ability to do hard things is a muscle. If you never lift anything heavier than a remote, a suitcase feels impossible. You strain, you delay, you find excuses. But if you regularly lift weights, the suitcase becomes easy. Voluntary hardship is weightlifting for your will. It strengthens your doing muscle, so when a difficult task appears, you don't waste an hour negotiating with yourself. You just do it. You've built the capacity. A modern version is eating the frog, doing your most challenging task first thing in the morning. That's a voluntary hardship, choosing the mental discomfort of that big task over the easy comfort of checking email. By embracing that initial resistance, you accomplish two things. You get the vital work done, reclaiming hours of procrastination later, and you train your resilience. You prove you can handle hard things. The rest of the day feels lighter. The heaviest weight is already lifted. Other examples are everywhere. Taking a cold shower for the last 30 seconds. It's practice in enduring an unpleasant sensation without fleeing. It builds a mental callus that helps you endure the unpleasant sensation of a difficult conversation. Doing a 24-hour digital fast, no social media, no news, it trains you to sit with your own thoughts, to find value in quiet. That strength helps later when you need to focus for 2 hours without distraction. Waking up 30 minutes earlier than necessary, you give up the comfort of the warm bed to claim a quiet block of time, trading a small comfort for a large gain in autonomy over your day. So the challenge is this: choose one small, voluntary hardship for tomorrow, just one. It has to be something you can control, something safe, something that pushes you slightly outside your comfort zone. Maybe it's making that important phone call first before anything else. Maybe a 5-minute walk without your phone. Maybe eating a simple breakfast without entertainment in the background. The point isn't the act itself, it's the conscious choice, the moment you say, I choose this slight discomfort to prove I am stronger than my cravings for ease. Each time you do this, you deposit a little more resilience into your account, and that resilience pays dividends in reclaimed time. Every single day you use it. We say yes right away and then we regret it. That one word fills up your calendar. It drains your energy. It breaks your time into pieces. The commitment seems small at first, but the cost adds up. It takes hours you could have used for what matters. The Stoics had an answer for this. A simple habit, the pause, a deliberate space between the request and your reply. It's not about being unhelpful, it's about guarding your own time instead of just renting it by accident. Seneca wrote about this. He said to be slow about adding new things. He noticed the busiest people are often the ones who can't tell the difference anymore. They say yes to every invitation, every task, every new interest. Their life becomes a collection of fragments. Nothing holds together, nothing becomes a whole. His advice was to put in a moment of thought, to ask a few questions before you say yes. Is this necessary for my well-being, for my core responsibilities? Does it fit with my deeper values, or is it just a distraction that looks like an opportunity? And then there's another question, maybe the most important one. What will I have to say no to if I say yes to this? Every yes is really a no to something else. It's a trade, your time for their request. You have to know what you're trading away. Think of your schedule like a cup. It can only hold so much. Every new commitment is a pour. If you don't pause to see how full the cup is, you'll overflow. The valuable stuff inside, your focused work, your rest, your time with family, it spills over the edge and it's gone. The Stoic pause is that moment. You look at the cup before you pour. Take a common situation. A colleague asks you to join a new committee. The impulse is to be a team player. To say yes right then, the pause means you take a breath. You say, that sounds interesting. Let me check my commitments and get back to you by the end of the day. That phrase isn't a rejection. It's taking back your right to choose. In that space, you can ask the questions. Is this necessary for my role? Does it fit with my goals for growing? If I do this, what current project will get less of my attention? The answer might still be yes, but now it's a conscious choice, not a reflex. It works the same for a social invitation when you're already tired. Or signing up for some new service that promises to organize your life, but really just adds another monthly thing to manage. The pause creates a buffer between the outside demand and what you have inside. It lets your wiser self answer, not the part of you that just wants to please people or the part that's afraid of missing out. So here's a practical thing to say, a script. Let me check my commitments and get back to you. It's respectful to the person asking, and more importantly, it's respectful to you. To your time, it changes you from someone who just reacts into someone who decides. This small habit, if you do it, acts like a filter. It stops the clutter of small obligations from piling up into a big weight. It makes sure that when you do say yes, you can be fully there for it because you chose it with clarity. and in that clarity, you get back more than hours on a calendar. You get back the integrity of your attention. You're up above everything, far above the city, past the country, until you see the whole planet, that blue curve. And from up there, the things that felt huge just a minute ago start to get small. The traffic, the urgent email, that awkward moment with someone, that's the Stoic view from above. It's a way to think, to get some distance, to see your life and your time, not from down in the clutter, but from way out there, from the quiet of space. It's a tool to take your hours back by shrinking the worries that take them. Marcus Aurelius did this all the time. In his private notes, he'd tell himself to look at things from above. He'd picture the busy markets, the crowded ports, the parties, and the arguments, and then he'd see it all from a distance, just tiny, brief movements. Like ants on a hill, the point wasn't to say nothing matters, it was to see the real scale, to sort out what's significant from what's just noise, and when you see your life from that high up, something shifts. The nervousness about a work talk doesn't go away, but it finds its actual size. From that cosmic view, that half hour in a meeting room is just a quick flash. That doesn't mean preparing isn't important. It means the panic about getting it perfect doesn't matter. Your focus moves. It goes from being crushed by the outcome to the effort you can actually control right now. You prepare because it's the right thing to do, not because everything depends on each slide. And that mental space is where you get time back. Time you used to spend on spinning worry, on imagining what could go wrong, on looking for constant reassurance. That energy is free now. It can go back into the work itself, or into resting, or into being there for the people near you. The view from above is a filter. It asks, will this matter in a year, in 10 years, from the view of history, and most of what eats up our emotional energy, and so our time doesn't pass. The mean comment online, the small career stumble, fixating on some tiny detail, they can't handle the cosmic zoom out. What's left after that filter is what's actually worth your limited attention. Your character, your health, the people you love, the things you contribute, those are what keep their weight, even seen from way up there, so try it. A quick minute, think of one worry right now that's eating your time. Maybe it's a tension with a coworker or stress about a deadline. Close your eyes if you want. First, see the situation, all its close-up details. Now pull back, see yourself in the room, then the building, the block, the whole city. Keep going. See the continent from space, clouds and land. See the planet, a pale blue dot in all that black. From there, look back at your worry. See how its feeling changes. It doesn't vanish, but it gets a context. It's a small piece of a huge, beautiful, ongoing story. Then bring that view back with you. As you come back down to the ground, keep that quiet knowing that most of what feels urgent isn't, and what really is important, how you choose to use this short, precious day. That becomes very, very clear. Justice was one of the 4 virtues for the Stoics, along with wisdom, courage, moderation. But justice wasn't just about courts, it was about proportion, giving each thing what it's due, and that includes your hours. You're the judge of your own time every day, allocating that resource. Your time is the currency of your life, and justice asks if you're spending it fairly. Across all your roles, if you neglect your health for work, that's an injustice to your body. If you neglect your family for a hobby, that's an injustice to your relationships. And if you neglect your own growth to serve others, that's an injustice to your potential. It's a balance, not a perfect split. A crisis at work might demand more time one week, but justice demands you restore balance when it passes. A life out of balance was seen as a kind of disorder, a self-inflicted unfairness. Marcus Aurelius had an empire to run, but he wrote about his duties to himself as a human being, not just as an emperor. To fulfill his role with justice meant giving attention to his own reason, his own health, so he could serve effectively. That's the idea. Justice in time means your schedule reflects your values, not just the loudest demands, so you apply it. Start with an audit, not of minutes but of domains. Look at your last week, categorize your waking hours, how much went to work, how much to family and close relationships, how much to personal health and growth, how much to community. Now hold that breakdown against your stated priorities. If you say family is your highest value, but only a sliver of your week shows that, there's an injustice. You're stealing time from what you say matters most, giving it to something else. Same if you say health is vital but sacrifice sleep and exercise. You're being unjust to your future self. The goal isn't a rigid pie chart, it's conscious alignment, noticing when a domain is chronically starved. Maybe you've poured all your energy into a project, and your friendships get scraps. Justice would prompt you to schedule a call, to reconnect. Maybe you've been so focused on caretaking that your own interests have withered. Justice would carve out an hour for that forgotten hobby, for learning. It's about restoring balance where it's been lost. So ask yourself, to what or to whom are you currently being unjust with your time? Is it your own need for rest? Is it a relationship that needs nurturing? Is it a personal goal you keep sidelining? Naming that injustice is the first step toward a fairer allocation of your days. We live on the promise of later. When I have more money, then I'll travel. When the kids are older, then I'll start that project. When I retire, that's when I'll really begin. Seneca saw this. He called it the Great Postponement. We treat our present life like a rehearsal, like a waiting room for a future stage that never actually arrives. We act as if we were destined to live forever. We assume there will always be a later, and that assumption steals our days. It convinces us to defer joy, to delay growth, to put off the conversations and the experiences that give life its texture. We save our best for a future we aren't guaranteed to see. Seneca's warning is blunt. You are living as if destined to live forever. The frailty of your body never occurs to you. You waste time as if it were drawn from a full supply, though that day you give to some person or thing might be your last. He isn't trying to scare us. He's trying to wake us. The right time isn't a date on a calendar in some distant year. The right time is now, within the circumstances you currently have. The perfect conditions are a myth. Life is always happening amidst some chaos, some limitation. Waiting for the storm to pass means you'll never dance in the rain. Consider the person who dreams of seeing the world but waits for retirement. They save the brochures, they follow the travel blogs, but they tell themselves the journey has to wait for that perfect, unencumbered future. But health can change, circumstances can shift. That future date is a hypothesis, not a promise. The Stoic approach is to ask, what part of that dream can I live today? It might be exploring a new neighborhood in your own city with a traveler's eyes. It might be learning a few phrases of a new language during your commute. It might be saving for a smaller trip next year instead of the grand tour in 20. You bring the essence of the desire into the present. You stop waiting and start weaving that thread into your current reality. Or the person who delays mending a relationship, thinking there will be a better moment, a time when pride subsides or schedules clear. But time doesn't heal all wounds. It often just embeds the silence deeper. The right time for a difficult conversation is usually as soon as you can approach it with clarity and compassion, not when it feels easy. Because easy may never come. The future you are waiting for is built entirely of present moments. If you fill those moments only with preparation and postponement, you arrive at that future having never truly lived along the way. So here's a direct challenge. Identify one thing right now that you are waiting for. One dream, one change, one conversation you've placed on a shelf labeled later. Name it. Now ask yourself this: what is one small, concrete step you could take toward that thing this week? Not the whole journey, just a single, manageable action. If you're waiting to write a book, the step is to write for 10 minutes today. If you're waiting to get in shape, the step is a 15-minute walk tomorrow morning. If you're waiting for peace with someone, the step is to send a simple, kind text with no expectation. This step breaks the spell of later. It moves the dream from the abstract future into the tangible present. It proves to yourself that you can begin within the life you already have. You reclaim the time you are spending in the waiting room by simply walking out the door. Interruptions happen. The Stoic question is how to meet them. Your plan for a focused morning, your block of time for deep work, your quiet evening, they will be broken into. By a knock, a call, a system failure, a child's need. The modern instinct is frustration, a feeling that your time has been stolen. The Stoic reframe is different. An interruption is not a theft. It's an invitation to practice, a live exercise in the dichotomy of control. You didn't control the event, but you have absolute sovereignty over what happens next. In your mind and in your actions, Epictetus put it plainly, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The cancelled flight becomes time to read. The broken tool becomes a reason to learn a repair. The interruption to your work becomes a test of your patience, your adaptability, your grace. It's raw material for building character. And when you see it that way, its power to derail your day dissolves. It becomes a contained event, not a catastrophic pivot. Think of a common scene. You're immersed in a complex task, writing a report, coding a module. Your concentration is deep. Then your child needs help with homework right now. The frustration rises. This was my time. This breaks my flow. The Stoic response begins with a breath, an acknowledgement. I did not control this need. But I control my reaction. I can choose to be resentful. That would poison the next 20 minutes for both of us. Or I can choose to pause, to help with full attention for 5 minutes, and then return. That 5-minute interruption, met with patience, often costs less than the 30 minutes of simmering irritation and fractured focus that would have followed an angry reaction. The interruption becomes practice in compassion, a reminder that some connections are more important than perfect efficiency. Or take a work example. A critical video call is cancelled at the last minute. The schedule had a solid block for it. Now there's a hole. The common response is to fill it quickly. Reflexively, with email or small tasks, the Stoic response is to pause, to see this not as lost time but as found time, a gift of minutes you did not expect. Now, what is the highest use of this sudden resource? Perhaps it's the strategic thinking you never get to. Perhaps it's finally drafting that proposal outline. Perhaps it's 5 minutes of quiet to recalibrate. By meeting the interruption with intentionality, you reclaim it. You turn an obstacle into a path. This shifts your entire relationship with the unpredictable. Your time is no longer a fragile vase, easily shattered by the first surprise. It becomes a flexible vessel. It can hold the planned and the unplanned without spilling its value. The key is the practiced pause, the moment between the interruption and your internal narrative about it. In that space, you can insert a question, not why is this happening to me, but what does this make possible? What virtue can I practice here? So reflect on a recent interruption. One that genuinely threw you off. Maybe it was a flat tire, a last-minute request from your boss, a friend needing to talk during your planned workout. Now rewind and reframe. Instead of seeing it as a thief, see it as a trainer. What did it train you in? If it trained frustration, that's data. Next time you have a goal. To practice adaptability instead, to meet the flat tire with problem solving, to meet the boss's request with calm reprioritization, to meet the friend's need with presence, and then reschedule your workout without guilt. Each interruption then becomes a repetition in the gym of your character, and with each repetition you grow stronger, less easily derailed. More the author of your time, no matter what the day brings to your door. The Stoics didn't oppose leisure, they were against the kind that drains you. Seneca made a clear distinction between being at leisure and being idle. True leisure is a choice. It restores you. It sharpens your mind. You come back to your duties with more energy, more clarity. Mindless leisure is just escape. It's passive consumption. It takes time and gives nothing back. That's the difference between a walk in the woods and 3 hours lost scrolling. One fills you up, the other just passes time and leaves you with a faint emptiness. Seneca wrote about this. He said even in leisure, one must be busy. He didn't mean filling every second. He meant being intentional, being present, choosing activities with a purpose, even if that purpose is simple restoration. To be idle is to be vacant. Your body is still, but your mind is scattered, pulled toward whatever distraction is nearest. To be at leisure is to be engaged in something chosen. Something that nourishes you. Reading a book that challenges you is leisure. Skimming headlines for outrage is not. A deep conversation with a friend is leisure. Gossiping is not. Tending a garden is leisure. Watching television until you can't remember what you watched is not. The distinction is in the quality of attention and the state you're left in afterwards. Intentional leisure is an investment in your humanity. It reclaims time for the self. It's not a deviation from a good life. It's an essential practice of it. It's where you integrate the lessons from your work, where you reconnect with your values away from the noise of obligation. It's the ground where creativity and resilience grow. Consider 2 evenings. In one, you come home tired. You collapse on the couch and turn on a streaming service. You watch episode after episode. The plot lines blur. Your mind is passive, receiving images but not engaging. When you finally turn it off, you feel a hollow fatigue. The time is gone and you're no more restored than when you began. In the other evening, you acknowledge your fatigue. You choose one thing, maybe a slow walk, noticing the evening light. Maybe cooking a new recipe, focusing on the smells and textures. Maybe opening a book of poetry or working on a simple woodworking project. The activity has a beginning and an end. You are present for it. When you finish, you feel a different kind of tiredness, one tinged with satisfaction. The time felt owned, not lost, so plan for it. Not as an afterthought, but as you would an important meeting. Block out 1 single hour for true, intentional leisure. Decide in advance what it will be. It could be visiting a museum you've always passed by, sitting with a journal and writing without purpose, calling a relative not out of duty but to truly listen. Protect that hour. See it not as a luxury but as a necessary practice in reclaiming your time and your spirit. How will you spend that hour to return to your life feeling more truly yourself? We make thousands of small decisions every day, and each one uses up a little focus, a little time. That's decision fatigue. It's this mental exhaustion from constantly choosing. What to wear, what to eat for lunch, which task to do next, which email to answer first. By the time you get to a really important choice, your mental reserves are low. Your willpower is down. You're more likely to put things off, to take the easy way out, or to make a bad decision you'll have to fix later, and fixing mistakes that takes more time. This cycle eats up hours every week. The Stoic idea of simplicity is a way out. If you intentionally reduce the number of trivial choices, you save your cognitive energy for what matters. You get time back by not spending it on things of little consequence. The Stoics wanted to live according to nature, which meant stripping away what wasn't needed. Marcus Aurelius kept reminding himself to cut out unnecessary opinions, unnecessary actions, unnecessary words. That pruning wasn't just about physical clutter. It was about mental clutter. Every unnecessary choice is a piece of that clutter. It's an opinion you have to form, a judgment you have to make. So if you adopt routines for the small, repetitive parts of life, you clear that out. You create automaticity. Your mind isn't burdened by constant, low-level deciding. The energy you save can go toward your work, your relationships, your own growth. It's a direct use of the Stoic focus on what's essential. Think about a modern example, Steve Jobs and his black turtleneck. He wasn't making a fashion statement. He was eliminating a decision. He said by wearing the same thing every day, he didn't have to think about it. He saved his decision-making energy for the design and strategy choices at his company. President Barack Obama talked about something similar. He'd only wear gray or blue suits. He said he was trying to pare down decisions. He didn't want to make decisions about what he was eating or wearing because he had too many other decisions to make. This isn't about aesthetics, it's about cognitive economics. It's about protecting your most valuable resource, your focused attention, from a death by 1,000 cuts. You can use this principle without wearing a uniform. Start with one recurring point of friction in your morning. Maybe it's deciding what to have for breakfast. That decision, made when you're half asleep, can set a tone of hesitation for the whole day. The Stoic simplification is to create a standard protocol. You decide once on a simple, nutritious breakfast you like. Maybe it's oatmeal with berries or eggs and toast. You make it the default. You buy the ingredients routinely. Now that 15 minutes of indecision and rummaging through cabinets is gone, the time is reclaimed, the mental energy is saved. The same logic works for your workday. Instead of starting each morning wondering what to tackle first, you set a routine. The first 30 minutes are for planning and your most important task. No decision required, you just begin. So here's a prompt. Identify one area in your daily life where you feel this small, repeated decision fatigue. It might be what to wear, what to make for dinner, when to check email. Then, design a simple system to remove that choice. For dinner, it could be a basic weekly meal plan you rotate. For your wardrobe, it could be organizing a simple uniform of a few interchangeable pieces you like. For email, it could be checking only at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. The goal is to move from constant deliberation to calm execution. When you simplify these minor choices, you do more than save minutes. You build a foundation of mental clarity. From that clear space, you can approach your truly important decisions about your time, your relationships, your purpose with your full attention. Hurry can spread between people. You walk into an office where everyone's talking fast, moving quickly, typing like it's urgent. Even if your own work is calm, you start to feel this prickling anxiety. Your breath gets short, your thoughts start to scramble. You check your email again, not because you need to, but because it feels like you should. That's the contagion. It's that pressure to match the frantic rhythm around you, and it's a thief. It steals your peace first, then it steals your time, as you leave your own reasoned pace for a speed that isn't yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. In his private journal, he reminded himself not to be distracted by the buzz of the crowd. He said the mind adapts. It converts the obstacle into a tool for action. The impediment advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Here, the crowd's hurry is the impediment. The way is to keep your own inner tempo, to not let the external frenzy become your internal state. The Stoics called this guarding your impressions. When you see others rushing, that's a sensory impression. The rush isn't in you, it's out there. Your job is to receive that impression without letting it command you. To see it, note it, and then choose. Do I need to hurry, or am I just catching a social virus? Think of a common example. The instant reply. Someone sends a message, and you see those 3 dots. They're typing a response right away. There's a subtle pressure to reply just as fast. Even if you're in the middle of something, you feel compelled to stop and answer. That's the contagion. You've let their pace dictate your attention. The Stoic practice is to notice that pull, to feel the social itch to be immediately responsive. And then to ask, is this interruption worthy of my focus right now? Often, the answer is no. You can finish your thought, your paragraph, your task, and then reply with clarity. By doing that, you reclaim the minute you would have lost. and you reclaim the 10 minutes of refocusing that hasty switch would have cost, or walking in a crowded city street. Everyone is weaving, speeding, looking at their phones. The collective energy is frantic transit. Without thinking, you start to walk faster, your shoulders tense. Your gaze drops, you absorb the ambient stress. The practice is to consciously decouple, to take one deep breath and settle into your own walking rhythm. To look up, even for a few seconds, at the sky or a building. You physically opt out of the contagion. You move through the crowd without being of it. Your time isn't stolen by a pace you never chose. This contagion extends to how we talk. In social settings, busyness is often a badge of importance. I'm so swamped, my schedule is insane. There's an unspoken competition of overwhelm. If you're not equally frantic, you might feel you're not doing enough. The Stoic stands apart from that game. They measure life not by a full calendar, but by depth of engagement. They understand a packed schedule is often just a collection of reactions, not a life of intention. So here's a small experiment. For tomorrow, pick one situation where you typically feel rushed because of the people around you. Maybe the morning commute, maybe the first hour at work when emails flood in, maybe a family gathering where everyone talks over each other. Your task is to notice the feeling of contagious hurry the moment it starts. Feel it in your body, the quickened pulse, the shallow breath. Then perform one deliberate, slowing action. If you're standing, shift your weight and plant your feet. If you're sitting, take one slow, full breath. If you're typing, finish your sentence completely before you look up. This isn't about being slow for its own sake. It's about reasserting your sovereignty over your own tempo. A quiet declaration that your time and your peace are not for the crowd to dictate. In that reclaimed slowness, you might find the space you thought you'd lost. We usually think about time we've wasted, but there's also time we've used well. That shift from what's missing to what's there, that's a Stoic idea. They practiced gratitude every day. It wasn't just a feeling, it was an active thing, a morning ritual of giving thanks for another day, for the chance to live well. They called it thanking fortune. And you can turn that gratitude inward, not just for what you have, but for what you did, for the moments you used your time with intention. When you celebrate those small wins, you reinforce the behavior you want. You build momentum from a place of joy, not self-criticism. This isn't about productivity, it's about alignment, those moments when your actions matched your values. When you chose focus over distraction or presence over hurry, that's worth noticing. The Stoics knew that what we pay attention to grows. If we only audit our failures, we train our minds to see scarcity. But if we note our successes, we train our minds to see possibility. We start to see more chances to live well inside our hours. Take the Stoic morning ritual. Marcus Aurelius started his private writings by listing what he owed to others and what he'd been given. He grounded his day in a sense of received good. We can adapt that for our time. At the end of the day, instead of just reviewing what went wrong, we can give thanks for what went right, not boastfully. Just quietly, factually, thank you for that 30-minute block of deep work this morning where I made progress. Thank you for the 20-minute conversation with my child where I was fully present. Thank you for the wisdom to turn off my phone an hour before bed and just read. This practice does something. It takes the abstract idea of using time well and makes it concrete. Personal, rewarding. It connects good time stewardship with a feeling of contentment, and we're far more likely to repeat actions that bring us quiet joy. So here's a practical step. Before you sleep tonight, take 1 minute. Mentally walk through your day, not to find fault, but to find one single instance. One thing you did well with your time. It doesn't have to be grand. Maybe you paused before saying yes to an unnecessary request. Maybe you took a short walk instead of scrolling. Maybe you finished a task you'd been putting off. Acknowledge it. Write it down if you want. Just a simple note. Today, I protected my morning focus. This small act of gratitude closes the day not with a tally of loss but with a recognition of gain. It reminds you that you can make choices that honor your time. And it builds evidence that a life of intention isn't a distant ideal. It's a series of small, achievable victories already happening. A major goal can stop you completely. You see the mountain but not the path. The distance is so great that sitting down feels easier than starting. That's when the big ambition stops being a motivator. It becomes a source of anxiety. We put off the first step. We wait for motivation to hit or for a perfect stretch of free time. It doesn't come. The Stoic method breaks that paralysis. It tells you to forget the summit. Just look at the ground right under your feet. What you control is the step you take today, not the distant view. Marcus Aurelius put it simply. Let the doing be everything, not the applause, not the finished product, not the validation from outside, the act itself, the effort, the virtue in just showing up. When the process becomes the whole point, you take back the journey. Every day has meaning, not because it gets you closer to some finish line you can't see, but because it's an expression of your character. You are a writer when you write, not only when you publish. You are a builder when you build, not only when the doors open. That orientation moves the weight. It shifts from an uncertain future to a certain present. The pressure of the outcome, which you can't fully control, gets replaced by the satisfaction of the effort, which you can control. This changes how you handle any long-term project. The goal to write a book stops being this terrifying, monolithic thing. It becomes a series of daily questions. Did I write my 500 words today? That's a binary action. You can control it. The goal to build a business shifts away from worrying about market share or 5-year plans. It focuses on today's most important task. Make one customer call. Refine one part of the website. The goal to learn a language moves away from fluency, which is vague and distant, toward a daily practice. Did I spend 20 minutes with the vocabulary app? Did I listen to one conversation and try to catch the rhythm? The power is in the containment. You are not carrying the whole project's weight every single day. You're only carrying the weight of today's contribution. That makes the work sustainable. It protects you from burnout. The burnout that comes from staring too long at a far horizon. It also builds resilience against setbacks. If a publisher rejects your manuscript, the virtue of your daily writing is still there, untouched. If a business deal falls apart, the integrity of your daily effort is still yours. The process becomes an unshakable foundation. The outcomes become events, things that happen upon that foundation. They aren't the foundation itself. So take that long-term goal you've been carrying, the one that feels heavy, the one you sometimes avoid thinking about because it seems too big. Break it down. Not into milestones, but into daily actions. What's the smallest, most consistent, most controllable action? The one that represents the core of that goal. For writing, it's words on a page. For fitness, it's a movement performed. For a relationship, it's a moment of genuine attention given. What's the single, controllable action you will take tomorrow? Not next week, not when you feel inspired. Tomorrow, that action is your point of control. That's where your mountain is climbed, not in a single leap, but in one deliberate, repeated step after another. The summit will take care of itself. Your task is the step. Holding regret or resentment over lost time is like carrying a backpack full of stones. You feel that weight with every step, but you don't put it down. The Stoics saw this. They understood these emotions aren't facts about the past, they're judgments. Judgments we keep alive now. A judgment that says that time shouldn't have been wasted, that I should have known better, that they shouldn't have done that. The past event is fixed, but your judgment about it isn't. You can examine it. You can choose to lay it down. This isn't about excusing poor behavior, yours or someone else's. It's about reclaiming the mental energy you spend carrying that weight. Energy you could use to build something with the time you have now. Seneca wrote a lot about anger. He called it a brief madness. He said it does more harm to the vessel that stores it than to anything it's poured on. When you resent someone for wasting your time years ago who carries that poison today, you do. The other person probably doesn't remember. You're the one paying the ongoing tax. Epictetus offered a similar idea. He said people aren't disturbed by things but by the views they take of them. And he added this: we can't be harmed by any past event. We can only be harmed by our present opinion about it. The event is over. Your opinion is happening right now, and that is within your power to change. Apply this to a personal regret. Maybe you look back at a decade where you drifted. You didn't pursue your passion. You stayed in a comfortable, stagnant job. The story you tell yourself is one of waste, lost potential. That story is the stone in your backpack. The Stoic practice is to reframe the narrative. That decade wasn't a mistake. It was a necessary period of gathering data. It taught you with absolute certainty what you don't want. It showed you the cost of comfort. It built a resilience you use now. It brought you to this moment of clarity. By forgiving yourself, you're not saying it was ideal. You're saying, I accept that it happened. And I choose to learn from it rather than be poisoned by it. You integrate the lesson and release the shame. Now apply it to resentment toward another. A business partner who failed you, wasting years of effort. A friend who was chronically late, stealing hundreds of your minutes. A family member whose demands constantly interrupted your focus. Holding resentment toward them is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to feel ill. Your mental space is cluttered with a courtroom drama only you are attending. The Stoic move is to see their actions through the lens of flawed human judgment. Epictetus would say they did what seemed right to them at the time. Based on their own ignorance or weakness, this doesn't make it right, it makes it understandable, and understanding allows you to release the personal sting. You can decide for your own peace to cancel the debt they may not even know they owe. You're not doing it for them, you're doing it to empty your backpack of that particular stone. So here's a quiet exercise. Before this day ends, identify one time-related regret or resentment you've been carrying. Just one. Name it simply. The year I didn't apply for that program. The colleague who took credit for my work. The evenings I lost to worry. Now consciously decide to set it down just for today. You're not committing to forever. You're practicing for the next 24 hours. You might say to yourself, I release my judgment about that past event. I accept what happened. I take the lesson and I leave the weight behind. Notice what opens up in the space that weight once occupied. A little more patience, a little more focus, a little more air. This is how you stop paying interest on a debt from the past. And start investing your energy in the present moment you actually own. How you start your morning usually sets the tone for the whole day. That first hour has a lot of power in it. It's quiet, the world's demands haven't rushed in yet. You get a chance to set your compass. The Stoics knew this. They built their days on deliberate beginnings, not on reactions. Marcus Aurelius left a clear record. His personal writings, the Meditations, were his morning ritual. He didn't plan his schedule first, he prepared his mind. He reminded himself of his nature, what he could control, the virtues he wanted to embody. He wrote things like, I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous men. All these things come from ignorance. He wasn't preparing for battle. He was inoculating himself against distraction. By naming potential obstacles in advance and his chosen response, he created a filter. Every interruption that day, every frustration would hit that filter first. It would be measured against his morning intention. That practice turns your time from a series of accidents into a sequence of choices. It moves you from being a weather vane spinning with every wind to being an anchor, holding steady to your purpose. A modern version of this doesn't need profound philosophy. It takes about 2 minutes. Before you check your phone, before you dive into email, you pause. You ask 2 simple Stoic questions. What virtues will guide me today? And what is the one essential thing? The virtues are your compass points. Maybe today needs courage for a difficult conversation, or patience for a tedious but necessary task, or moderation to know when to stop working and rest. The one essential thing is your anchor. It's the single task or focus that, if you accomplish nothing else, makes the day feel well spent. This isn't a to-do list, it's a declaration of value. For example, your 2-minute ritual might look like this. You write or just say to yourself, "Today I will practice focus by working without distraction on the budget report for my first 90 minutes. I will practice presence by putting my phone away during dinner and listening fully." That's it. You've set a clear intention for your time. You've connected your actions to a deeper quality of character. Now, when the distractions come, the ping of a chat message, the urge to procrastinate, the pull to scroll during a meal, you have a preset filter. Is this helping me practice focus right now? Is this an act of presence? The answer becomes obvious. You've already decided in the calm of the morning how you want to use your day. This ritual reclaims your hours by giving them a purpose from the very start. So here's a simple template for tomorrow. When you wake, before you reach for any screen, take 1 quiet minute. Ask yourself, "Today I will practice," and name a virtue: courage, focus, patience, kindness. Then complete the sentence with a concrete action, by starting my most challenging task first. By taking a 5-minute pause before reacting to a frustrating email. By calling a friend I've been meaning to connect with. Write it on a note or say it aloud. This small act plants a seed of intention. It doesn't control the weather of your day, but it firmly roots you in the ground. From that rooted place, you can meet whatever comes. And your time will bend less easily to the chaos. It will begin to shape itself around what you decided in the quiet truly mattered. When your time is up, what will all those moments add up to? We think of a legacy as something left behind, a body of work, a name on a building, money for the family. But the Stoics would say your real legacy isn't what you leave. It's how you lived. The material isn't marble or money, it's time. Every moment of attention, of effort, of care. That's a brick in the monument of a life. And that monument gets built not after you're gone, but right now with the ordinary substance of your days. Marcus Aurelius thought about this a lot. He wrote that the longest-lived man and the shortest-lived man, when they die, lose the same thing, the present, because that's all they own, and what you can't lose is what you don't have. His point is deep. The only thing you ever really possess is this present moment, and the character you bring to it, the virtue, the attention, the love, that's your only real contribution. That's the legacy that actually lasts, in the memory of people you touch, and in the quality of the life you experienced yourself. A good life is its own reward, Seneca said, and its own enduring monument. You don't build a legacy for the future, you inhabit it in the present. Think about 2 possible legacies built from the same amount of time. One is a legacy of being busy. The calendar was always full. The phone was always buzzing. Achievements got checked off a list, but the person was often distracted, hurried in conversations, mentally somewhere else during the very experiences they worked so hard to afford. The other is a legacy of being present, of listening fully when someone spoke, of noticing the sky on an evening walk, of doing work with care, not just for the outcome, but for the integrity of the effort itself. Of being kind in small, unnoticed ways. The first legacy might leave a list of accomplishments. The second leaves behind a feeling, a warmth, a sense of peace, a memory of genuine connection in the people who shared your time. So the question isn't just what you did with your time. It's who you became while you were spending it. Your character is carved by your daily habits of attention. If you spend your hours in resentment, you become resentful. If you spend them in distraction, you become scattered. If you spend them in purposeful action and genuine connection, you become grounded and whole. The legacy is the person you sculpt day by day through a million small choices. This leads to a powerful, maybe unsettling, reflective prompt. If you continued your current daily patterns for the next 5 years, what kind of person would you become? Look at your routines right now, the first hour of your day, how you handle interruptions, where your mind goes when you're alone, the quality of your attention when you're with loved ones. Project that forward without any change. Does that person align with who you wish to be? Does that feel like a legacy you'd be proud of? This isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. It's seeing the trajectory you're on so you can adjust the course while you still have time. Your legacy of time is being written today in the ink of your attention. What story will it tell? This whole path from Seneca's letter to your own thinking comes back to one thing. Reclaiming your time isn't about finding more hours. It's the act of reclaiming your life. The Stoic ideas we've been through, they're not just concepts. They're like a new operating system for your days. It starts with Memento Mori, remembering that life ends. That clarity about finitude, it energizes your choices now. Then there's the dichotomy of control. That shift from reacting to everything to steering your own attention, to having sovereignty over it, and then it builds to intentional living, where every yes is conscious. Every no is protective, and your hours line up with who you actually want to be. These aren't abstract philosophies, they're tools. For the morning you choose quiet intention over frantic scrolling. For the moment you pause before saying yes out of reaction. For the evening you review your day, not with regret but with gentle learning. That's the practice. A life well spent is built on these small, repeated decisions. Seneca left us with a call to action. He wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." Don't wait for a perfect tomorrow. Don't postpone your presence, your new relationship with time. It doesn't start next week or next year. It starts with the very next choice you make. The next breath you take with awareness, the next task you approach with full focus, the next conversation you enter with genuine attention. You hold the pen. You're writing the story of your hours. What will you write with the next one?